I don't see someone who is more radical than Khamenei. Khamenei got up in the morning asking himself, what should I do today to destroy Israel? And he went back and he went to his room to sleep. At evening, asking himself, okay, what I did today to destroy Israel. I don't see someone who is more extreme than him.
Right now, we're being told there's a pause, that negotiations with Iran are ongoing, that there may be a path to de escalation. But at the same time, the Strait of Hormuz is being disrupted, the United States is applying heavy economic and military pressure, and Iran is already rebuilding its capabilities. So the real question is, are we actually stabilizing the situation, or are we moving towards the next phase of conflict with Iran? General Yaakov Amidror, former Israeli National Security Advisor, thank you for being here with us.
Today, I am a fellow at the GINSA Strategic Center in DC,
As well.
as well as JISS in Jerusalem. The real answer, I don't know. I think that no one knows. I'm not sure that even the president knows what will be the result of postponing the deadline, what will be the answer of the Iranians, and what will be the reaction of himself, of America, to the answer which will be given by the Iranians. It's a big question marks based on the very stubbornness of the Iranians in the past, knowing that they understand that if America and Israel resume the war, it will be devastating from the Iranian point of view. And I don't know to assess how far they are ready to go in this war and to take the risk for Iran. We might be in a situation in which we don't understand them. And unlike our judgment, they are ready to go on with the war and to suffer what is needed, but not to compromise. So I think that there is no answer to your question, because if we don't know the answer of the Iranians, and we don't know what will be the reaction of America. And even when we will have the Iranian answer, I'm not sure that the Americans immediately know what would be the reaction. It's a very complicated situation for someone from the outside who does know both the Iranian side reaction and the American decision making based on that. So we have to wait.
Do you think that the Iranians want to make a deal, or that they're using this to kind of stall time, just a tactic of delaying? Because as we know, this is a religious war for them, and it's not something that they're usually willing to compromise on.
The question is not if they want a deal. Yes, they want a deal if it within the conditions. The question is, are they ready to compromise? And I don't have an answer to that. Up till now, they were very stubborn and they didn't want to compromise. They have their own demands, including that they will be the owners of the Straits of Hormuz and will get money for every ship crossing the strait. I think it is unacceptable. But I don't know. The answer is that I don't know, and we have to learn to live in a situation in which we don't know what are the facts and what is behind the corner, and to be better prepared for not being surprised by either this answer or another answer. What I can say for sure, they are making all the preparations for the next stage of the war. At the same time, United States of America and Israel are doing the same. So both sides will come to the next stage of war, if will be such a stage, in better prepared than they had been before the ceasefire.
In the first phase of the war, we saw that the Iranians used two techniques. First was that they would fire at all the countries around them, whether they were allies or not, Arab countries, not Arab countries. And the second was taking the control of the Strait of Hormuz and disrupting the global shipping. Are these two things that you expected from them, or is this a kind of like surprise for Israel?
In the Hormuz Strait, something happened because during the war they decided which ship will go through and which one cannot do it. And the Americans allowed the Iranians to export their oil, and their oil went through the straits almost without any problem. Now, when the Americans put the blockade, theoretically, no oil from Iran can go out, and no ship into Iran with any cargo can go in. In a way, this decision of the President of the United States of America took from the Iranians their main tool. You cannot threat us with the Hormuz Strait. The Hormuz Strait are totally blockaded by America. And after the ceasefire in Iran, in which the Iranians tried to show that there is a connection between the ceasefire and opening the strait, and they say, okay, because of the ceasefire in Lebanon, we are opening the strait. The president said you can open it, but it will be blocked for any ship going into Iran or coming from Iran because it's an American blockade. And we are not changing the blockade. And I think that it was very, very smart step, which took from the Iranians one of their abilities to threat the Americans. Okay, blockade, we know to do blockade by ourselves and don't threat us with blockades. Now you lose the ability to export your oil. Thank you very much. About the second question, I don't have a good answer. If it is a surprise, I don't know what to say about it because I don't know about it. Otherwise, it will not be a surprise. But what I can say, my assessment is that the Iranians use all the tools that they had. And I don't believe that in 2 or 3 weeks they will find something out of the box which will surprise America and Israel both. We have good intelligence as the Iranians learn through the war. We are monitoring it from space, so I don't see anything that they can surprise on the ground. So I'll be very much surprised if I see a surprise during the next phase of the war, if that would be resumed by the Americans or by the Iranians.
Now, one of the techniques that Israel used is to take out the top leadership of Iran from the beginning. That's also what we did with Hezbollah. Is there a danger that, these leaders are going to be replaced, just continue to be replaced, and perhaps will be replaced by leaders that are more radical or things like that?
I don't see someone who is more radical than Khamenei. Khamenei got up in the morning asking himself, what should I do today to destroy Israel? And he went back and he went to his room to sleep. At the evening, asking himself, okay, what I did today to destroy Israel. I don't see someone who is more extreme than him. There is a story about a fatwa which didn't allow the Iranians to go on with the nuclear project. As far as I know, they did whatever they could to continue with the project. They were very careful that it will not be identified by Israel or by America, but they did all the actions which had been needed to continue with the project. They didn't reach it yet. They didn't reach the point in which they have the water. So I don't think that this is something that we have to take into account to ask ourselves if those who will substitute the leaders that we kill will be more extreme. Probably not. Will they be better? Will there be a more skilled people to run the system? This is a question that should be asked. It's very hard to answer it. When we killed the predecessor of Nasrallah, we got Nasrallah, which was very good. In other places, when Soleimani was killed, no one took his position and was as good as Soleimani. So there are some options. I think that up till now, the Iranians didn't get someone who is as strong and as well taken by the people around him as Khamenei. He has the respect of the people. He could make decisions. I'm not sure that this is the situation now in Iran, and probably it is more problematic to make decisions. Will the decisions will be better for Iran or better for us or better for us as part of the group? I don't know. This is something which is unknown Yet I'm not sure that we will have an answer to this question even in the future.
Now, it's no secret that Israel has a lot of human intelligence in Iran, more so than they did in Gaza. Is it because that Israel always had their eyes on Iran? What's the reason that they have more intelligence in Iran, much more?
Very, very, very good question. You know, before the war against the Hezbollah during 24, I was asked about the capabilities of Hezbollah, and I said Hezbollah is 10 times stronger than Hamas, but the IDF is ready 100 times for the war against Hezbollah. For years, we prioritize Iran and Hezbollah as the enemies that we will have to face in the future, and we will have to be very well prepared, including the intelligence. And, you know, to recruit spies, you need special people that know how to get to foreign people and to recruit them. It is something that you cannot learn. You have to be, you know, in your genes. You grew up with that. And this is the most, how to say it, unique people that are in the system. It's a talent that you cannot teach. If you don't have it, you don't have it. I can say that out of 10 these unique people, we invested 8 in Iran and Hezbollah and 2 in Gaza. That was the ratio. Because we understood that the stronger enemy is the combination of Hezbollah and Iran. It was not a mistake, by the way. In retrospect, we made good judgment. The problem is that because we didn't have enough intelligence in Gaza, we had been surprised by Hamas. But remember, after 4 to 6 hours between 10, 12:30, that was the end of the success of Hamas. We contained the wave, and Hamas didn't succeed to take even one Hamas member after those hours into Israel. It was the end. Because at the end of the day, the surprise was huge in the strategic level, in the operational level, and the tactical level. The success of the few hours was devastating. If you can call it success, this brutal attack on civilians, on music festival. I mean, 24% of the people which had been killed were from the music festival. You know, you don't have to be a genius to do it. But we were right. That was the weaker enemy. And we succeeded to block it and to contain it after between 4 and 6 hours. And then we succeeded to take most of Gaza Strip. And today Hamas is not relevant as a threat to Israel. During the whole war with Iran, they didn't launch even one rocket into Israel. And they are now inside Gaza. They are the only force inside Gaza. And the result of the new situation is that the locals, the Palestinians in Gaza, are those who are suffering from the fact that Hamas is the only force inside Gaza. They are under control of a very cruel terror organization. For Israel, Hamas in this situation is not relevant. We can stay in this situation for eternity. Still, Hezbollah can launch missiles into Israel. Iran can renew its efforts in both the missile project and the nuclear one. Those are the two stronger enemies of Israel. The combination between Hezbollah and Iran, or Iran for itself and Hezbollah for itself. And this is why we made a decision. I think that it was not a mistake. The results are very, very bad from our point of view, because of the surprise that this Hamas succeeded to achieve in the sense of.
Now, do you think that Hamas has the capability to rebuild, meaning in years? So, I mean, it took them years to build until October 7th, but do you think that they have the ability to rebuild, you know, a few years from now, or is Israel not going to allow them to do that?
First of all, I think that their ability to do it is much less than before, because they don't have a direct connection, not with Egypt, and and not with any other through the border, not any other third party that can help them. The ability to smuggle into the area which is controlled today by the Hamas is very, very limited. There is ways to do it. As you know, we are bringing in huge amount of humanitarian aid trucks which are coming from through Israel into the Gaza Strip. Some of the help is coming through Rafah Pass. I mean, technically there is a way, but not as in the past. And we are more sensitive, and we have better intelligence, and we are determined not to let Hamas to rebuild itself. Any target which will be identified, which is such that is connected somehow to their ability to manufacture inside Gaza weapon systems, will not likely to survive. And remember, we have the 20 points plan of the Americans. And let's see what will happen, because one point in these 20 points is disarming of Hamas, which is a kind of obligation of the Americans to implement with the help from other countries, Turkey, Qatar, and so on and so forth. All that was before the war against Iran, and we have to see how the war against Iran will influence the whole process in Gaza. The more it will be clear that the Americans won the war against Iran, the higher are the chances that they have the ability to disarm Hamas. The more it will be clear that it is a success of the Iranians and failure of the Americans, the probability to disarm Hamas will be reduced. So this is the connection between the two places. Stronger America, winning America, failure of Iran will make more easy. It will not solve all the problem, but it will make more easy to disarm Hamas.
Now, how connected is Hezbollah still with Iran? Meaning, does Iran tell them when to shoot their rockets, or are they doing everything on their own?
No, the Iranians are never been involved in the tactical level. They had experts that helped the Hezbollah to build itself, and in time of war, they advised Hezbollah. Now, the decision of Hezbollah to begin the war against Israel a day after the American-Israeli attack on Iran was done in coordination with the Iranians. It's the Iranians who convinced the Hezbollah to launch the attack. In the everyday decision, the Iranians are not involved, for sure not as in the past, even less than in the past. And the main problem is not in this area. The main problem is that the land bridge which went from Tehran through Baghdad and Damascus into Mediterranean to Beirut does not exist anymore. When the regime in Syria was changed and Assad left Syria, and now the regime is hostile to Hezbollah and to Iran, which butchered these people for years when they were the rebels in Syria. The main tool of Assad to kill the rebels, to fight the rebels, were Hezbollah warriors, which came with their initiative to help this regime, which was very important for Hezbollah ability to survive. They provided Hezbollah with weapon systems. That was the area in which they can come to rest and to meet people. That was part of the bridge from Iran into the Mediterranean. So for them, it was very important to keep the regime. This is why they helped Assad to fight the rebels. And this is why when the rebels became the new regime in Damascus, they are doing everything that Hezbollah will not get any weapon systems and so forth. There is a little bit of smuggling between the two states. It always had been and probably will be forever. But that cannot allow Hezbollah, that doesn't give Hezbollah the ability to be much stronger. Of course, the Iranians can bring money in suitcases, but I think that today Hezbollah cannot renew its capabilities from the past. It can play here and there to make some arrangement with it will be better in this place or in this point, but it cannot come back to the situation of pre-war in Lebanon. It cost, 70% of its launching capabilities. The whole infrastructure of the command and control was destroyed. almost all the commanders have been killed. It will be very, very complicated for Hezbollah to renew its capability. But still remember that after you destroy 70%, if at the beginning point, you have, I don't know, 70, 100, 70 or 100,000 rockets and missiles, 30% of 100 is 30 missiles and rockets. It's more than what Hamas had at the beginning of the war. So still, Hezbollah, unlike Hamas, is very relevant, can launch missiles and rockets into Israel, cannot make ground assault. That was denied by our pushing the organization into the north in South Lebanon. But to launch missiles and rockets from north of the Litani into the north part of Israel and even the center part of Israel, not in big numbers in the center. This is something which will remain in the hands of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is much more relevant as a threat to Israel today than Hamas, as it was in the past, by the way.
Now, Iran's economy, especially the oil, is under a lot of pressure. Actually working, do you think that we can pressure Iran economically, or does it have to end militarily?
The answer is that I don't know. I spoke about it before. I don't know how much they're ready to suffer economically. It's a decision. It's not breaking the system. It's a decision if you are ready to suffer or not. When I say you have to decide how much you are ready to suffer, in many cases in Iran, those who are making the decision don't feel the situation. They don't understand what does it mean because they have all what they need, they and their families. It's the average Iranian who is suffering. And of course, the state as a system is in a very problematic situation. But I don't know how much the decision makers are ready to take more steps of Americans in the future, because it's probably that the next stage will go to oil or other energy issues. And I think that will be very devastating for the Iranians. But again, if the regime is ready to get this threat and not to compromise, it's a possibility that we have to take into account.
Can you speak on the relationship between Iran and Israel before 1979, during the Shah time, and what was that like for people that were not old enough to remember that time?
We had very good relations. We had some big projects together regarding oil and regarding security. We were partners, both we and the Iranians, because common enemy around Iran and around Israel, all the Arab states, which the Iranians are afraid from, and we saw as our enemies. So it's kind of a coalition of minorities in the Middle East. The Shiites are only 15% of the Muslims. They had been always by the Sunnis. The Iranians don't like the Arabs, and the Arabs despise the Iranians. So it was an alliance between minorities in the Middle East. Interestingly enough, there is a letter which was written by the grandfather of Assad in the 40s, 80 years ago, maybe more. And he wrote that at the end of the day, there is no other way but all the minorities in the Middle East should build an alliance, because otherwise they will be destroyed by the huge amount of the Muslim Sunnis in the Middle East. And he spoke about the Shiites, the Alawites, the Christians, the Jews. And he said, if we don't unite somehow all these minorities, the supermajority of the Sunni will alienate us. And that was the basis for our relations with Iran. The fear from the Arab Muslim world. At the beginning, after the revolution, that was also one of the excuses of the Iranians to explain why they are so anti-Israelis, because there was a cooperation between our intelligence and the domestic intelligence of the Shah, which was very cruel. the Savak was very cruel, no question. And they said, you help them and you help them to oppress the Iranians, the Iranian people, and so on and so forth. So in the history, that was one of the excuses at the beginning why the new regime is so anti-Israel. Yeah, and later on became different excuses and reasons why they are so anti-Israel.
So it went from cooperation to kind of overnight they came. Why do they see Israel as the number one enemy that they targeted, with all their money, with all their assets, with all their proxies?
It's very interesting question that we are asking ourselves all the time, because there is nothing that we want from the Iranians. In the intelligence, the Iranian desk was very little, and no one really was interested in what's going on in Iraq. I think that the Iranians' obsession against Israel was result of few elements. The first one, and maybe that was the excuse, was, as I said, the relations between the Savak and the Israeli intelligence, but it is much deeper than that. It is about religiously to accept a Jewish state in the middle of the Muslim world is unacceptable. It cannot be legitimized. And when you are a religious state led by mullahs, by clerics of your religion, and your religion is so anti-Jewish, it's the beginning. Then there was the Iranian dream to make two big changes in the Middle East. One relating to the Shiites, which are a minority, which was oppressed during almost the whole history of Islam by the Sunnis, to change their situation in the Middle East, to make them much stronger, more influential, and so on and so forth. And this is why they apply to countries in which there was a big Shiite group, Lebanon, in which it is probably today the biggest group, then Iraq, in which there are a majority. They try to do it within the Shiites in one area in Saudi Arabia. And of course, their connection with the Houthis, which is kind of Shiites, not exactly, in Yemen. So they wanted to organize the Shiites in the Middle East so they will have proxies all around the Middle East, and by that to make them stronger within their own societies. Lebanon is a good example. And at the same time, they wanted to be the next superpower of the Middle East. So Iran as a state, not as a religion, but as a state, a national dream to be much stronger, to renew the empire, which in the past got to the Mediterranean. This combination of religious and imperial dreams made them understand that they need legitimacy. Because as Iranians, they are not Arabs. Many Arabs despise them. They don't appreciate the Arabs. It's a second-degree people. There is animosity even within the Shiites, between the Arab Shiites, for example, in Iraq, and the Farsi Shiites. And gaining legitimacy, it's very easy if you are leading the war against Israel. And above everything, Israel symbolizes all the evils, the bad, what they don't want to be. It's the long hand of the West in the Middle East. It's a democracy. It's a liberal society. It's very successful. It's a very bad example for the new generation in Iran. It's against all their values to have such a state in the middle of the Middle East. Even on the question of Jewish state, as a state like Israel, even if it is not Jewish, but freedom of women, liberal society, open society, and so on and so forth. And to that, it is the Jewish and very successful. And you understand that they couldn't agree that such a state will be. A friend of mine met in a very non-academic guy from Iraq. And he asked him about, what do you have against us? What do you have against Israel? And he said, we have to destroy you. Otherwise, you are the worst example for our young generation. It will be bad for us if they understand that a democratic, liberal, open society can succeed, and you are very successful. So if you take all these elements together, you understand that ideologically or culturally they cannot accept. And then there is the calculation. Israel is a very strong state. If we, the Iranians, want to be a superpower in the Middle East, it's clear that the only barrier that can stop us are the Israelis. So we have to destroy them. And this is not about culture. It's about calculation of force and the ability of the Iranians to lead the Middle East in the future. If they want to lead the Middle East in the future, Israel cannot be there because it's a strong country which will not obey any order from the Iranians and will be kind of an anchor of resistance against the Iranians' dream to control the Middle East. So from all these aspects, this is why the Iranians are so much against Israel. Many people don't understand it, even in Israel. They don't understand how deep is the issue and how important it is for the Iranians, for practical issues and from ideological point of view. And it is not going to be so tomorrow or in the near future.
General Hamidor, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for all that you do for the state of Israel, for the Jewish people on this Yom Ha'atzmaut, Independence Day especially, and wishing you the best of blessings and success. And hopefully next time we'll speak in better circumstances and in person.
No, I'm. By the way, I'm very optimistic. I think that our success to neutralize Hamas, to make Hezbollah much, much weaker. Maybe we are closing a situation in which in Lebanon, the government will do something to limit Hezbollah, at least, if not disarm it. And I don't know what will be between America and the Iranians based on the present situation. I hope that the Americans will be strong enough not to let the Iranians in the negotiations to win something that they cannot win in the battlefield. For that, we have to trust the American negotiators. But I'm very optimistic. We broke the taboo that Israel cannot deal with Iran. We can. And it's very important from my point of view.
Yes, I agree. Thank you again, and hope to speak to you again.
Thank you very much.